What does it mean to be healthy now that you have MS? If you can't be cured, can you even be healthy? This was something I personally struggled with because when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I was a nutrition coach, yoga instructor, and personal trainer. I should have been the picture of perfect health, but my medical record said incurable. It felt like I didn't fit into the sick box, but I also didn't fit into healthy box either. So where did that leave me? To answer the questions, I had to decide how I was defining health. And that's exactly what we're going to dive in today. And my friends, if you want to be more consistent with the healthy habits that get results, download a free copy of my wellness tracker at alenebrennan.com/tracker. Now on to today's episode.
There are 1 million people diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in the US. So that makes you 1 in a million. And you have a special purpose in this world that no diagnosis can take away from you. So if you are ready to reclaim your body, mind, and life from multiple sclerosis, welcome to my MS podcast. I'm your host, Alene Brennan.
Prior to my diagnosis, my definition of health would have landed somewhere along the lines of defining body composition, how much fat versus muscle mass you had, how much water did you drink in a day, what diet did you follow, all markers of the physical body. And these are all great markers of health, but they don't tell the full story. Because let me tell you, when I worked at a high-end health club, I had a front row seat to some of the fittest people. These were the people that were winning fitness competitions. They were performing as professional athletes, and they were living dream jobs in acting and modeling. But despite their perfect body, they were miserable inside. Not all of them, some of them were happy, but many of them were really sad. How we feel is part of our health. And this was never more apparent than when I went on a mission trip to Haiti. I saw some of the sickest people with virtually no belongings. And they were some of the happiest people. They had so little, yet they had a joy that wasn't based on their circumstances. So I really had to ask myself, how did I define health? I'll be honest, I don't have a fully formed answer yet, but I'm willing to share where I'm at with it so far in hopes that it might help you. Here's what I've come up with. Health is a mindset, it's personal, and it's ever evolving. Let's start with mindset. It's not about thinking yourself healthy or just thinking positively. I'm talking about your perspective on life, how you see life. I am a firm believer that our thoughts shape our reality. This isn't woo-woo. This is a very real and practical concept. I break it down like this. Your thoughts influence your emotions, and your emotions influence your behavior. It makes sense, right? Like if you're always thinking about what's going wrong, guess what? You're going to see more of what's going wrong everywhere you look. It's like when you buy a new red car and suddenly it seems everyone is driving the same red car. It's our brain's reticular activating system. It focuses on what we think about most. If you're always worried about something, our brain thinks, okay, this is important. So it points out all of the things that match our worries. That's how two people can go through the same exact experience in life and walk away with two completely different perspectives on it. And their perspective can change how they feel and therefore how they show up in the world and interact with other people around them. And you know what the people around us often do? They reflect back what we're putting out in this world. It's not hard to understand that when we're more optimistic and positive, we'll naturally attract and gravitate to people with a similar style. So by trying to focus on the good in life, guess what our brain will start to show us more of? Happy people. It's worth a try, right? Health starts with mindset. Now let's chat about the personal side of health. Have you ever noticed how everyone has their own health routine or a diet that they swear by? That's because health isn't a one size fits all kind of deal. It's deeply personal. When I was diagnosed with MS, I had these ideas of what health should look like. But suddenly those rules changed and didn't apply to me in the same way. And that's okay. We all have our own journey and definition, and it changes over time. Maybe for you, being healthy means being able to play with your kids or your grandkids without getting winded. For somebody else, it might mean getting that peaceful night's sleep for 8 hours. Or for another, it might mean having the strength and energy to go for a morning walk. And for those of us living with a chronic illness, it might mean having a day without pain or fatigue or the countless other symptoms so that you can just do everyday life. The fitness models that I saw in the health club that I worked at had their own version of health, and so did the joyful people in Haiti. But it's key to remember, no one's version has to be yours. We can all have our own definition of health. Again, the people in the fitness club, they can have their version, as can the people that I met in Haiti who were filled with such joy. So, what is health to you? So many people say that they want to change their diet because they want to get healthy. But then when I ask them, what do you want your health for? Why do you want to be healthy? That is where you get the true definition of health. That is when you hear someone start to say, I want to have the energy to travel with my family, or I want to have the strength and energy to be able to dance at my daughter's wedding. It can be big or small, it doesn't matter. It's yours. How do you want to define what health looks like for you? Because it's your health and you get to create your rules for it. Think about what makes you feel alive, happy, and vibrant. Is it dancing in your living room? Enjoying a good belly laugh with friends? Or maybe it's a quiet moment with a good book. Whatever it is, that's part of your health. It's time to identify, create, and embrace your version of health. What does health mean to you? Look beyond the scale, look beyond all of the typical markers, and start shifting your focus over to your peace of mind, the relationships in your lives, your spiritual practice, your level of happiness. This is your health. You own it, you define it, and you let it evolve with you. Which brings me to my last point here. Health is ever evolving, just like you. Understanding that our health is always in motion, always changing. It's dynamic, it's not static, kind of like how we are. As people, we grow and we change over time. Remember when you were a kid? You could run all day, eat anything, and still wake up bursting with energy. Fast forward to your 20s or 30s, and maybe you notice certain foods made you feel exhausted or bloated, or a late night out took a lot longer to recover from. Life, right? Then add in life events like having kids, changing jobs, getting diagnosed with MS, and our definition of health shifts again. What I've come to realize is that health isn't a destination. It's not a place that we reach and then think, oh, I made it. Here I am. Now I can stop. No, my friends, it is a continuous journey. And it's okay if your definition of health at 40 is different than when you were 20. Now, we can't end this conversation without addressing this topic of motivation, because I can almost hear some of you on the other end of this podcast saying, yeah, Alene, all of this sounds great, but I'm just not motivated to get healthy no matter how you define it. So let's have a little heart to heart right now. First, we need to debunk a very common myth. You don't need motivation to get started. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but hear me out. Motivation is wonderful, but it's also fleeting. It comes and it goes. What we need more than motivation is action and habits. Action precedes motivation, meaning you often have to take action in order to feel motivated. I know, it's annoying. It's not how we want it to be. I'd like it to be the other way around too, but it's not. And until we're willing to acknowledge that, we'll likely be sitting around waiting for motivation to show up. And the other key is starting small. Like, break it down to something that is so ridiculously small, and maybe even make it a little fun too. And then you start building it into existing habits so that it's not something that you're constantly having to think about. And if you need a little help staying consistent with the healthy habits that get results, download a free copy of my wellness tracker at alenebrennan.com/tracker. Okay, so what do you think? Does this definition of health make better sense and sound like something that's far more meaningful than defined abs or a perfect medical record? It took my MS diagnosis for me to really see health in this way, but I like it a lot better than the quote unquote health that I was chasing before, because this kind of health feels meaningful to me, and it's the one that I want to pass along to my daughter. It's also the one that reminds me to have grace with myself when I have a setback, because health isn't something that I magically lose if I have one bad day of food or if I have a tough season of fatigue. Health is not linear. It is not a straight path to a final destination. It is ever evolving, and most of all, it is my journey. No two paths are identical. It's okay to take detours, make U-turns, and even park it for a little bit if you need a rest. Health isn't a race. It's a deeply personal experience that's going to be as unique as you are. So remember, health is a mindset, it's personal, and it's ever evolving.
Well, my friend, we've reached the end of this episode. Pick one lesson from today's discussion and put it into action now. It's time to reclaim your body, mind, and life from multiple sclerosis. And for more resources, events, and programs, head over to alenebrennan.com. See you on the next episode of my MS podcast.